Gospel of Luke. Just then a lawyer stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he said, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law? What do you read there?" He answered, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." And he said to him, "You have given the right answer. Do this, and you will live." But wanting to justify himself, he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus replied, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and fell into the hands of robbers, who stripped him, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a priest was going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So likewise a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, while traveling, came near him, and when he saw him, he was moved with pity. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, having poured oil and wine on them. Then he put him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said, "Take care of him, and when I come back I will repay you whatever more you spend." Which of these 3, do you think, was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? He said, "The one who showed him mercy." Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise."
The story we just heard is very familiar to most of us, the story of the Good Samaritan. Growing up, I learned this story of a certain forest where there lived a hornbill who was known to be very noisy, complaining about something every day. Ladybird, one of the inhabitants of the forest, was concerned that this might bring problems to the whole forest, and also concerned that nobody was doing anything about it. He thought that if I went to the hornbill, maybe he will eat me up and I am so small. So he went to his friends, the liana, the banana tree, the mushroom, and the snail, but all of them were indifferent and insisted that hornbill's problems were hornbill's problems. One day it happens that there was a hunter who was passing by and he heard hornbill's noise, and following it noticed him and shot him down. As he went to collect his hunt, he noticed the mushrooms and said this would make some nice soup. Next to the mushrooms was the snail, and he thought this will make the soup even slimier, yummier. And wanting to carry this stuff home, he needed a bag, and so looking up, noticed the banana leaves, and cutting down the banana tree, took the leaves, and wanting to tie things up in place, needed some rope, and so looking up, noticed the liana and cut it down. And as such, hornbill's problems became everybody's problems. These friends in the forest realized just a little too late how interconnected they are. That the issue of one was the issue of all. Coming back to this Bible text, we see the Levite and the priest walking down this road from Jerusalem to Jericho. And we could ask ourselves, why do they not stop when they see the man lying on the other side of the road? We could say maybe they had duties and responsibilities elsewhere, priestly duties maybe. We could also think that they were afraid that the robbers were not very far off and maybe they too might get attacked. And maybe it's a question for us. What is it that would make us hesitate in such situations? If we look at this story of our forest friends, we notice that Ladybird felt he was too tiny, too small to do anything. And maybe in the face of all the climatic, humanitarian, and social problems and challenges facing our times, we could feel that we are too little, we are too small. What is it that I could do with what I have? Or maybe we could feel if we participated in some of the activities, maybe we would be letting those in authority off the hook, that they will not put measures to better the whole situation. Or maybe in life we have walked down a certain road from Jerusalem to Jericho and we have fallen victim to some kind of robber, and we have picked up some bruises and knocks and cuts. And maybe this makes us want to fold in on ourselves. And maybe we could ask God to help us in such situations, to give us all the tools that we need to get out of these situations, instead of building defenses, that we should actually come out stronger at these broken places. Walking down this same Jericho road was this Samaritan traveler. What is it that makes him different? Maybe instead of worrying what will happen to him and his plans, he asks himself the question, what will happen to this man if I do not stop to help him? He makes the concern for this man his personal responsibility. And with what he has, with his time, with his oil, with his wine, with his bandages, with his touch, he is able to help this man. Through his actions, we see that he makes it clear that we actually belong to each other. But I would insist that, unlike our friends in the forest who realize it just a little too late how interconnected we are, we do not need to wait for tragedies, for pandemics, for moments of calamity and war to just realize how interconnected we are. Our interconnectedness, our belonging to one family is actually something we need to celebrate in our daily lives. By the time Jesus tells this story, some of the Jewish people thought that Samaritans were people who needed help. And Jesus is overturning this attitude by using a Samaritan as the example for a good neighbor. He is like asking us not to approach anybody with any condescending and patronizing attitude, that we should go and participate in each other's lives in an openness, that if we are ready to give, we shall also be ready to receive, that if we are going to teach, that we shall have also the capacity to learn and to be taught, that if we are going to speak, that we should also have the space to listen. Mostly we realize that with people who are needing in one aspect of their lives, they are also wealthy in other aspects of their lives. We have seen how those we can call poor are actually rich in resilience, in perseverance, in their capacity to innovate and to create from very little things, to find joys in the little things of life. And most admirably, we see a profound faith in them, a relationship and a trust and a confidence in God. And now as we look towards Jesus, who is our universal brother, who has not come just for one particular people, but for everybody, who has wanted to include everybody in his family, even those who have been excluded, who have been viewed as having bad reputations. We could learn from him. And especially in these days when we celebrate and remember his coming into the human family through his birth, we could ask him to help us to live and relive, to discover and rediscover our human vocation, the vocation to be brothers, sisters, and siblings to each other, our vocation to belong with each other, our vocation to be a good neighbor to our neighbors.